Welcome to the Explainer. We're going to journey deep inside the brain today to uncover this tiny hidden command center it's secretly running almost everything in your body. All right, let's just dive right in.
So, let me ask you something. What if I told you there's a gland, no bigger than a pea, sitting right at the base of your brain? And that's the master controller for your growth, your metabolism, so much more. I know, it sounds a little like science fiction, doesn't it? But it's a fundamental part of who you are.
And there's your answer. It's the pituitary gland. We're calling it the body's mission control, and for good reason, because this tiny but mighty structure is pretty much the central hub sending out all the critical orders to your entire system.
Okay, so its formal name is the pituitary gland. And it's so important that your body actually protects it in its own little bony pocket at the base of the skull. Now, from this super safe spot, it acts as the main coordinating center for a huge network of other hormone-producing glands. So, to put it simply, it's not just a gland, it's the boss of other glands. Now, mission control is basically split into two main departments, and they have very different jobs. You can think of the anterior pituitary as the factory floor. It actually makes and sends out its own hormones. The posterior pituitary, on the other hand, is more like a warehouse. It doesn't produce a thing. It just stores and releases hormones that are made a little higher up in the hypothalamus.
So while both parts are absolutely critical, that factory floor, the anterior pituitary, is where a ton of the action happens. It's home to 5 specialized teams of cells, and each one is busy creating and shipping out a very specific hormonal product.
And here's a look at that cellular dream team. As you can see, these cells handle just about everything, from your stress response to reproduction. But the team we're going to focus on today, the one that makes up almost half the gland's workforce, they're called the somatropes. And what's their star product? You guessed it, growth hormone. Okay, so let's zoom in on this star player. Growth hormone, or GH as we'll call it, doesn't just have one simple task. No way. It has this massive body-wide mission with 2 main directives that affect pretty much every part of you. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. A single molecule of growth hormone has an incredibly short life. I mean, once it's released into your bloodstream, it's got maybe 6 to 20 minutes to get its job done before it's gone, just metabolized. So you can imagine, its actions have to be really, really fast and incredibly powerful.
So its first mission is pretty straightforward. Build the body. GH is what's called a protein anabolic hormone, which is just a fancy way of saying it tells your body to build tissues, not break them down. It's literally commanding your system to increase lean body mass, burn more body fat, and even absorb more calcium from your food. It is the architect and the construction crew for your entire body. Now, its second mission is all about energy management. GH tells your liver to release more sugar into the blood, and it frees up fat from your stores, giving you this quick source of fuel whenever you're stressed or haven't eaten in a while. And this creates a really interesting paradox. On one hand, it raises your blood sugar, which kind of works against insulin. But on the other hand, it actually helps the pancreas get ready to respond to other signals. It's a master coordinator for your body's whole energy budget.
Okay, so like any good mission commander, growth hormone doesn't go it alone. To actually carry out its orders all across the body, it has to rely on this really cool activation sequence and a whole team of secret helpers, kind of like field agents, to get the job done right. So how does GH actually give a cell its orders? Well, think of it like a secret handshake. The hormone arrives and it binds to one receptor on the cell's surface. That binding changes the receptor's shape, which then attracts a second receptor to come over. When those two join up, a process called dimerization, it's like the handshake is complete. And that is the trigger. It kicks off a whole cascade of signals inside the cell, waking up all its machinery to follow GH's commands. And who are these secret helpers? They're called somatomedins. These are growth factors, and they're mostly made in the liver when growth hormone tells it to. And in a lot of cases, it's actually these somatomedins, not GH directly, that carry out the actual growth-promoting stuff on your tissues. So GH gives the order, but the somatomedins are the ones executing the mission on the ground. The 2 main players on this team are IGF-1 and IGF-2, and they've got a really clear division of labor. IGF-1 is the one that gets going because of growth hormone, but only after you're born. It's the key player in your childhood growth and puberty. IGF-2, on the other hand, pretty much works on its own, independently of growth hormone, and it does its most important work before you're even born, guiding fetal growth.
So, we've seen how this whole intricate system is supposed to work, but what happens when mission control goes haywire? What if it starts sending out way too many orders? Well, the results are dramatic, and it all depends on one crucial factor: when it happens.
You see, the difference between these two conditions is all about timing. If you have too much growth hormone as a kid, before your bone growth plates have sealed shut, the result is gigantism, a really dramatic increase in height. But if that same exact excess happens in an adult, your long bones can't get any longer, so the body starts to grow outward instead. That's a condition called acromegaly, and it leads to deformities and enlarged organs. It's the same signal, just at a different time, with a profoundly different outcome.
But regardless of which condition it is, the core effect is the same. As the source material puts it so perfectly, the protein content of the body is increased and the fat content is decreased. Basically, an excess of GH sends that build and strengthen mission into a dangerous overdrive, and it fundamentally changes the entire composition of your body.
So, we've seen the incredible power that's packed inside this one pea-sized gland. The power to build, to manage energy, to literally shape the human form. And that leaves us with a final, really fascinating question to think about. If this tiny gland is truly the body's master controller, what happens when we finally learn to precisely pull its levers? What possibilities and what new challenges could be waiting for us?